teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Now that statement, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, was born out of compassion. Tungod sa dakong kaluoy ni Jesus sa mga tao nga mga nawala na isalahan. Beloved, everywhere the Lord went in His ministry, He was moved by compassion. Bisan asa si Jesus nagministeryo, He was moved with compassion. Doon na siya dakong kaluoy. Now, what does Jesus mean that the harvest is plentiful? Masabay mo, ipasabot ni Jesus nga ang anihon, daghan. What is the harvest? Now, according to Joel 3:12 to 13, let the nations be roused, let them advance into the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the nations on every side. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, trample the grapes, for the winepress is full, and vats overflow. So great is their wickedness. What is the harvest? The harvest is the final judgment of the wicked. You see, that's why the compassion of the Lord was stimulated upon seeing people on the way to hell. Mao ka na nga dunay dakong kaluoy si Jesus sa mga tao tungod kay iyang nakita nga ang kadaghanan naglakaw paingon dito sa impierno. Now, the New Testament follow the same picture. In Matthew 13 verse 30 it says, let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds. Kuliktaha ang mga sagbot, and tie them in bundles to be burned, o sunuga. Then gather the wheat and bring them into my barn. Tiguma po ang mga trigo, o dad-ang ato sa akong kamalig. Again, the harvest is the end of the age, when the angels gather together God's people and put them in a barn for His kingdom. Matthew 13, 39 to 40. The enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. You see, Matthew 13:30 and jump to Matthew 13:39 to 40, same thing. That's the harvest. The final judgment. It is not the harvest that you often think about. Dili kini anihon nga nasa tong hunahuna nga makadungog ta nga matutan ng dapita kay ang mga tao kanang anihuno na. Mudawat na sa Ginoo. No! That's not the picture of the harvest Jesus is talking. The picture is of the unconverted, the deceived, and the left hopeless by the false religious leaders and fake shepherds. They are headed toward a harvest of judgment. Now, the details of the harvest is recorded by John in Revelation 14 to 20. It says, I looked, and there before me was a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Galab sa ubang translation. Usa mo translation, Pastor May? Sanggot. Sanggot. Kung usa mo usa ka kalit. Then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting in the cloud, take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. You see? So, he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested instant, another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel, who had the charge of the fire, came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the cluster of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe." The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them in the great winepress of God's wrath. You see, the harvest is always associated with the wrath of God at the end time. Now, to make the matter worse, misamot ang problema pag-ayo, because you've got the magnitude of humanity moving toward judgment. And back to verse 2, the laborers are few. Katakong problema. Daghan kaayo ang nahisalag. Paingon sila sa impyerno. Apan ang mga trabahante, ang mga laborers, ang mga workers, pudyot ra kaayo. Beloved, this is where evangelism begins. You see the big issue. And how can you be content to do nothing? Nakita na to ang dakong problema nga daghan ang anihon, apan gamay ra ang mga ngani, makaako ba kagawa kay buhaton? Beloved, evangelism begins with a compassion for unbelievers who are misled by false religions and false shepherds and are bound for hell. Because of the huge harvest and the laborers are few, you need the second attitude for effective evangelism, and that is contingent prayer. Contingent on prayer. Sa laing sinultihan, dependent on prayer. Nagsalig sa pag-ampo. Verse 2. It says, "Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into His harvest field." Busa pag-ampo kamo sa tag-iya sa anihon, aron magpadala siya dugang pang mamumuo nga muani niini. You need to pray, you need to beg, you need to plead for the Lord, to the Lord of the harvest, to send out workers into His harvest field. You don't just pray for the salvation of people, but also pray that the Lord will send more workers. Dili lang igong nga mag-amputa nga maluwas ang atong mga parinti, atong mga silingan, atong mga kauban sa trabaho, kundi mag-amputa nga ang Ginoo magpadala og daghang mga ngani, mga workers. Now the question is, who is the Lord of the harvest? We know what is the harvest. The second question is, who is the Lord of the harvest? Kinsa man ang Ginoo sa anihonon? John 5:22 will help us. It says, "Moreover, the Father judges no one, but has entrusted all judgment to the Son." You see, the Lord of the harvest is Jesus Christ. The Lord of the harvest is the judge, and the judge is Jesus Christ. This is amazing, beloved, because it is Jesus who is the Lord of the harvest. It is Jesus who is the judge. It is Jesus who is the executioner. It is Jesus who comes back with the sickle, along with the angels who attended Him. And Jesus is the one who hears your prayers and sends the people to deliver those who are perishing. As if Jesus is saying, "Pray for me and ask me to send workers to go out to deliver people from me." Ladies and gentlemen, my dear brothers and sisters, this is the wonder of the gospel. The judge becomes the source of messengers to deliver people from his execution. More than that, the judge is himself executed to save people from his execution. Gawas pa ni ana na siya maoy ampuan. Siya maoy nagpakamatay aron ang mga tao dili niya masilutan. When was the last time you pray saying, Lord, please send more workers. Kano sa man ang katapusang higayon nga ikaw nga nag-ampo, nag-ingon nga Ginoo, pagpadala og daghang mga magbubuhat. You can't get on your knees and pray to the Lord to send workers without the attitude of compassion for the lost. Because